Hello everyone, welcome back. My name is Marcos Bravo and this is episode 3 of Passing the Torch. Today I have the pleasure of talking to Mr. Hal Zeitlin. Hal was one of my first calls in GrowthMentor, even though he came with a completely different problem at the time. But I'm going to let you listen to the story. I also want to invite you to follow our podcast, follow our social media channels, and make sure you enjoy the following conversation. Cheers. Well, hello, Mr. Hal. How you doing these days, man?
Incredible. It's beautiful to be here. Beautiful.
Well, so just so you know, at home, Hal is in Colombia, Medellin right now. It's not where he lives usually. He's just taking advantage that the business is good these days, I guess. But
Right.
Hal, I'm gonna let you introduce to the audience. You can tell them who you are, what you're doing, and then I'll tell a little bit of the story on how we met as well.
Awesome. So, hey everyone, my name's Hal. I, for about 4 years, was a marketer, fell in love with all different things and just got really obsessed with learning different types of marketing, eventually leading marketing for a few companies. And in the most recent company I worked at, Farmer's Juice, which was a Shopify store, I just was looking over ads, creative, website, email, and I just wanted to over-deliver and make sure to, serve the company well. So I found GrowthMentor about over 2 years ago, and I did my first session. I think I've done over 100 by now. And I just started meeting with people about all these different tactics and strategies, and really being able to expedite my learning and my ability to advocate for what was needed for the company. And so about a year ago, I decided to transition and start a webflow agency. We're now about to hire our 10th person, and it's been a blast. And it's all due to GrowthMentor, honestly. Directly and indirectly, the network here is just so loving and strong, and so many of our great projects have directly and indirectly flown through this community. And so,
man, that's amazing to hear, because I just want to let people know that you were one of my first calls. And first of all, Hal is one of the OG mentees. I mean, he is one of the people that helped build this place because he signed up early on. And you were one of my first calls too, man. I remember we talked about something completely different. It was no marketing agency. At that time was the deli, right?
It's the deli, yeah. I have a second business. Me and my brother have a deli in Chicago. That's a whole other story. And
we'll talk about that one a little bit too, man, because I'm really curious. I have no idea where it is right now, what's going on. I still follow you on Instagram too, but it's crazy that everything started with that simple call. And I mean, for me, it was a great call because I was really nervous. I never done anything like sort of straight to customer, especially bagels and all this stuff. And it was such a cool conversation. And with time, we stay in touch. I mean, I remember when I decided to launch my agency, you were one of the first people I talked to. And you told me, man, agency life. And I'm like, oh, my God, I'm not alone in this journey.
Oh, my gosh.
But it was great. But for going back in time, right? How did this whole sort of curiosity or need for help came out? Like, where were you that you said, okay, I think I need to talk to someone that knows more or knows different? Like, what was the little bug that bites you and said, this is what I want to do?
So I think a lot of it comes back to me wanting to control outcomes and serve clients. Like, performance marketing used to be a cool, hot term 4 or 5 years ago. Now it's not so much. And it was exciting that through smart strategy and hard work, I could generate results for a company. I thought that was so cool. And I was in this place where this company really blew up overnight, and we just had all this opportunity to grow and hit some goals. And so I had to find people to help me, and usually experts are just way too expensive to hire for consulting. And I was just surprised that these people who normally their time would be worth hundreds of dollars an hour were essentially sharing it for free and excited to do so. And so I just really made a habit of at least once a week, if not more, meeting with people, talking about all these different strategies. And it has really helped me expedite my professional growth and really helped to serve the business that I was responsible for leading marketing for.
Did you come the first time for something specific? Was it something that you really needed to fix, or you just came in general just to check it out?
I think it was around Facebook ads. It was right before things kind of fell apart. oh my, I was getting crazy ROAS. It was awesome. But I wanted to scale that ROAS. I wanted to be able to go beyond the few campaigns. And Nicholas Mullen was one of, if not one of the first mentors I met with. And it was just crazy. Like, this person has like managed millions in spend, knows the e-commerce vertical. And he was just there, like literally looking at my campaigns and giving me thoughts and ideas. Okay, what's the next step? And after that first call, I was like, whoa, this is sweet. Oh my gosh.
So you got your advice first of all. Yeah, you figure out some stuff with Facebook ads, but then you decided to move. Like, I mean, if you've done almost 100 calls, that means that there's something else that you're finding around. And I'm going beyond GrowthMentor here. I'm going to finding the sort of the mentoring idea, something helpful for your business, for your career. So how do you take it from that first call into sort of getting deeper into talking to all of these cool mentors that are doing stuff for free?
I think first thing is like, I love what I do. I love digital marketing. I love digital strategy. I love creating things. And so it just flows from this. And it's just, if you are like a T-shaped marketer and you have broad responsibilities, I feel like GrowthMentor is like such an awesome opportunity for you. If you want to go beyond just a certain discipline. And so, maybe one week I was just thinking, you're running ads, but the thing is, like, you have to run analytics on the ads. And a lot of marketers and people, it's not like they're lazy. They're just like normal people who want to have work-life balance. And they say, okay, I'm just going to focus on this. And either this other thing won't get done, it won't get done as well, or we just need budget to hire someone else. My personality is more like, I want to not only be able to make sure it's done right, but I want to be able to talk about it. And so most of the time I would put something together and then just really get real life feedback and kind of see what are the unknowns that were before me. And usually if you listen to podcasts and articles, it's not at all the same of meeting with someone who actually does this as a profession. And so there's always problems to solve, always opportunities. And so GrowthMentor, it's just that directory. You can get lost in it if you wanted to.
That's actually interesting when you mentioned, because we're doing this podcast, and the idea of doing this podcast, for example, right? We wanted to do something different and not to talk about the framework of this or the steps to do that. Yeah. But we wanted to sort of look into the behind the scenes, right? Like how people get to go for help, and how they apply that help. Did you have your agency when you started finding mentors, or you came up with it later?
I guess when I first started at Farmer's Juice, I had a few other things I was doing small on the side. But I always was helping people. I have an issue sometimes saying no, I'm getting better at it. But I always had a few other things going on just because people would ask for my help. It was only like maybe 8 months to a year into Farmer's Juice when someone asked me to help with I learned of webflow like 3-4 years ago, and someone asked for help with it. And then I realized I love this. And so I started doing things slowly on the side. And for the last 4 or 5 months of my time at Farmer's Juice, I was just really building an agency at the same time. And it was pretty intense. And so, my GrowthMentor experience then turned somewhat more from like marketing tactics and strategy and more into leadership, hiring, training a team, and even just client management there. And so GrowthMentor, helps me talk about strategy and tactics, but also it's just incredible talking with people who've managed agencies their whole life, and even people who own agencies, just about those gotchas and catches of that line of work.
And these days, right? And you're managing. Like, what are you doing in Medellin, first of all? Because I think everyone should hear this.
Yeah. Our project manager, Natalia, who's just, oh my gosh, she is the best. I appreciate her so much. She lives here, and I do have a meditation retreat next week. I'm taking off for 5 days, but I thought it was a great opportunity to go down, do some strategic planning, meet my people in person. Most of my design team is in Asia and Indonesia. So last August, I flew us all out to Bali for a week. We got a villa, had fun, worked, created together. And right now we're planning an offsite with our dev team, about 6 people in Spain and in Portugal. And so I've just kind of had like GrowthMentor is like a hack to just really expedite and evolve your professional life, I've just found with remote teams, being able to get together with people in person, look them in the eye, and just like share that joy
It
and
makes a
work
difference,
together,
right?
it makes such a difference. And it's really difficult to do, especially if you have children. I don't have children. And I've sort of been able to put the energy that would go into raising a little baby into looking after my team and trying to build this environment where it serves everyone who touches it, which honestly has been extremely challenging.
How many people do you have in the agency these days?
We have over 20 people on payroll each month. That doesn't mean they're all full time. And there are some people that kind of I share between the agency and the deli. But I think David, we're doing our test project with him, new developer that we're hiring. He's in Bogota. I think he'll be the 12th FTE in the company across the agency and the deli.
Man, that's quite a growth.
It's insane. And like I've invested everything we've made back into the company, and sometimes it's been a little risky. But like recently Webflow Enterprise referred us a project. I think I can say that. And it's just like that lever of working directly with Webflow on some of these larger projects and builds and just having that trust there. This project in particular really has motivated me to grow the team a little bit more and just really hone in on our craft and deliver that high level of delivery. And again, having these conversations all flows from over, I guess, 2 years of being on GrowthMentor, talking with people. It just lets, if you're an agency owner and you can talk about the strategy and this, let's talk about analytics. Okay, now let's talk about SEO and let's talk design. Like, it's not for most people to kind of spend all that time learning it, but spending a little bit of time, it really can help you build trust with people. And it also can let you genuinely help people and not just be like a fake SEO guru. No disrespect to fake SEO gurus.
No, I mean, they're plenty out there. They're making their money, I guess. I mean, everybody needs to eat somehow. So what are you guys as Webflow? For the people who don't know what Webflow is, can you give me a little rundown of what is the agency doing, what Webflow really is?
Cool. Webflow is all about helping brands own their marketing layer. There's a spectrum. On the left side is no code, like drag and drop, super abstract. You don't have to think at all. But when you do that, it's making a lot of decisions for you. There's limitations, and the underlying code is clunky. So that's on the far side on the left. On the right side is pure custom code, headless. Like you need a lot of engineers. It's super slow. It's more expensive. That's on the right. Webflow, I feel, is that optimal solution where it's a visual interface, so you don't have to write a ton of code. You can write a ton of code, and we do. And so it's right in the middle that it's complex and difficult, but it's not as complex and difficult as going full on coded. So what it's allowing brands to do is to build these super custom, high performing marketing sites, and then lets your marketing team manage that site without needing a ton of engineers. It really is the industry leader in SaaS and startup companies for building these marketing sites, where it's just the sweet spot between efficiency, scale, and just being able to build really cool things.
And when you get a new customer, like you don't just deliver a product, right? You have a whole sort of step by step holding hands with them, because I mean it's a new thing. I mean I never used it. I never really got it well. I was either we have a bunch of developers doing stuff, or someone come with no code that's just putting little squares together, right?
Exactly.
But how do you manage the process of not onboarding but beyond onboarding, right? Like getting a customer to say, okay, look, I know what you do, not that much. What can you do for me, and how are you going to help me out as a company, right?
Customers asking how we can help them out. The first thing, if you're building a marketing site, especially if you're a tech company, the first thing that's most important is having a scalable design system that's consistent, it's professional. If your design system isn't strong, your site's going to be clunky, it's going to break, it's going to be messy. And so the first thing we're helping customers do is not development. It's not web development. It's design and look and feel. And that's going back to the GrowthMentor. What's helping us here in GrowthMentor is it's helping us go beyond our narrow area of focus to help serve a bigger picture, to help serve our clients, serve our companies. So we start off there, and from there we just go into development. But with development, we have to ask, okay, what's your growth strategy? How are you sending traffic here? How do you want to manage this? There's so many small decisions we have to make. And being someone who's spent a good bit of money on ads and have spent some time in design, we're just able to have these conversations that this core hub of your website, of your business, it's optimized, it's working. And so TLDR, we guide them through design, we understand their marketing strategy, and we advise them on building a marketing site that's going to hit their growth goals. Now, and then we build a site.
Do you think learning all of these little things from all these people with experience, it makes you a better leader to take on these projects? I mean, if someone comes to you and they want to focus on the creation of webflow,
yeah,
but they have nothing, like they have no clue what to do in social media afterwards. I mean, you could tell them eventually, well, this is what I learned.
We can talk about it and jam out, but I also am super focused on a few service offerings, and there's a handful, and I have experts that I work with. At this point, there's people in the company who's better at me than everything I do, and I can talk about all of them, and I enjoy it. But like social media is one thing we just aren't going to touch, because I've just learned, despite learning all these things from GrowthMentor, the saying is, master, how jack of all trades, master of none.
True.
I think that I've learned over time in the agency to really focus on the service offerings and focus on really mastering certain levels of service and then expanding from there. Does that make sense?
It makes sense. But what do you feel you're best at? I mean, is it or how do you translate your leadership skills to your team?
Oh boy, my leadership skills. Honestly, here's how I think. There's like 4 different areas. There's the client and what's in their best interest. There's the company, the business, what's in their best interest. There's every individual team member and what's serving them, their goals, hopes, and their dreams. And there's this whole team unit of the team, how we work together. And there's this whole team dynamic. And usually in corporate America or just the world, 1, 2, or even 3 of these are getting the short end of the stick, and one party is getting optimized, or maybe 2. My goal and the vision of the agency is to be like very straightforward with clients and the team, is saying, guys, we're trying to optimize that everyone is getting what they want, and that no one's getting the short end of the stick. And so more and more, I think just having that empathy and asking the team members, hey, is this in line with what you're looking for the client? Is this serving their best interest? I think just trying to operate from there has helped us all come together. And it's helping the team make decisions and advocate for things without me having to try to guide them. And disclaimer, I make a ton of mistakes and there's much to learn. But as far as like my leadership strategy, I just try to tap into that and see what happens,
Because I totally relate to that strategy, but that's not an easy strategy at all. I mean, because when you try to tick all the boxes, right, it's complicated. It gets
yeah. I mean, I ran out of money, even like, I'm not getting into all the details, and look, there's stuff coming in, but yeah, it's hard. It's super hard to do that. And if you want to save up money in the business too, it's been very close and tight for many months. And so can you do that without taking on venture funds or without having, without being close? I don't know. Maybe some people with certain backgrounds and experiences you can. For me, it's been very tight, this experience building up the team to this place. And I've been comfortable making that because I'm trying to just build a team and a product that I'm really proud of. And it's happening. Slowly and surely it's happening.
I think that's the kind of companies that they really end up succeeding or staying, right? Because if you go and get money, yeah, I mean, there's still money. That doesn't matter what recession or whatever, right? People still have money. They still want to invest in stuff. But when you bootstrap your company, right, it makes a difference. I think that even the team feels it differently because they feel there's a purpose behind. They're building something together.
Yep.
Do you feel that way with the team?
Right. Yeah, they all. Some of them are a little too in the loop there, but I think that's true. And also, we have a core team, and there are certain consultants and niche contractors there. But I'm also, maybe things will change. I'm not trying to grow this massive agency. Definitely we want to be able to take on projects and have structures, but I think also by keeping the core team to a certain level, it keeps a level of intimacy. And I speak to many agency owners, because just through GrowthMentor and in general, and they get to a point and then they keep growing and then everything changes. The dynamic changes, and I feel it's possible, but I'm honestly content right now building this core team, bringing us all really close together, feeling happy and living in that vibration.
I
And
think
let's
it's
see where it
possible.
goes after that.
I think it
Yeah.
is possible. I remember working with PictoChart. It was a team of 50 people, man. And they were a company with 11 million people using their product, right? So it's,
Really?
yeah. I mean, and 50 people working their butt off just to make sure that it works all the time. But it's definitely, and you feel the difference, right? I mean, going from a company from, I don't know, 500 people into a team of 50, wow, it's a huge difference. But you feel it on the team too. And I'm going to jump to something completely different now because I really want to relate all of this because your learning curve started with the deli, right? Like, tell me a little bit, how was the deli business and how did you manage to make it work? Because it's not
Yeah.
it's a completely different thing.
It's crazy that. So my brother's a world-class chef. Like truly. Went to culinary schools, worked in many Michelin star restaurants. And I guess during the pandemic, everything shut down. He started baking bread. And before in bagels and getting into that, before he knew it, he was like at the farmers markets in Chicago, had the longest lines. Like I felt bad for all the other market stands because Sam's just like doing it. He's like going crazy doing like this is his baby, his dream. And eventually he quits his job and goes on it all for himself. And like the food business success rate is like abhorrently low.
Oh yeah.
Most of them don't make it, and I see why. And so I had this team and I really I wanted to support him and I wanted to help him kind of make his dream come true and work together. So it's maybe been over 2 years. I mean, one reason I started the agency was to get him design and development support, technical support to build a business that he could support a family on. And so we've just been going month after month. I built him a team and I shared some of my team. And, this summer, we're going to be in 30 markets. And we now have our own kitchen location and we're saving up. Like we need $1 million saved up to have our own spot. And now we're like, okay, how are we going to do that? We're $60K in debt right now. And it's like a little, I've never been in for the agency. We've never been there. Forgive me, Sam, for talking about this openly, but yeah, like we're $60K in debt. And my brother calls me. He's like, Hal, like, are we okay? Like, is this okay? Like what's going to happen? Cause he's a chef. He's not a trained business school person. And like, he's like, Hal, I have no money. What's going to happen? And so we're just kind of holding off for the summer, but we've built out these projections. We have all this technology put together that once the summer, the sun comes out, we're in these markets. We're going to pay off our debt. We're going to start saving up money, and we're just marching to having our own brick and mortar. And it's just, we have this team of people. We're all dedicated, and like we've won the bagel bracket of Chicago. Like
No
we
way.
literally are selling bagels. Where's this bagel bracket? My dad always wanted Sam to work at Ritz-Carlton as a chef because it's the most like white collar,
Yeah.
best pay, perks, vacations. And literally today, we are selling our bagels to Ritz-Carlton in Chicago. Like
Awesome.
my brother is working, like he's built his own business to serve Ritz-Carlton without, and it's his thing, it's his baby. And it's just like, it's crazy. And it's been so hard to manage the agency. And honestly, right now, I put more time into building his team to support him. And now we're just using the agency to write some small checks to help things go along. But before I know it, the business will be in a really strong place.
That's with any business, man. Like that doesn't matter what you do. There's always a moment that you will be a minus. And the only way to get out of the minus is just keep going. You can't just leave it and let it die. If you just keep going, it's going to work.
And it's just, and that the whole idea of bootstrapping and being in debt for the business was like nothing I ever knew about. It's just like, I'm just working and serving businesses. I've learned that's kind of how it works in the different ways. And being able to use GrowthMentor and talk to people who've personally been in that situation or, who work in companies where that's the norm, it's helped me mature a lot. And it's helped me sort of operate beyond my age, I hope. And sort of really speak with confidence, and especially with my brother, tell him like, Sam, like, this is the way it has to be. We've got this. Like, I know it's scary, but like, look at this plan that we have. It's going to work out, and there's no way to grow the team and train them without doing this. And it just kind of flows from just this professional life and working with folks like you, where we just have that understanding of this is how business life works,
But again, that's the only way. I don't think there's anything can prepare you for any. I mean, I had my. Remember, I told you like I had my own food business that I had to close because of the pandemic. I had my ice creams and stuff. But nothing prepares you to feel that. Oh my God, I'm down big time. I have no money, but well, I mean, the only way to get money is just to keep going, to keep moving forward. What's next for you with the agency? Like, what you said that you want to keep it boutique style, maybe small, like a small team. But what's next? Not only with the agency, but also with your own growth, with your own professional career. Where do you want to take it?
Yeah. So right now we are just, so the cool thing about Webflow is it lets people who are not like trained developers, and there's a lot of, subpar developers who get into web, and great, like if you want to earn some money and build your own career, like Webflow's one of the best options to do that for sure. But with the clients we serve, we can't just be using self-taught average Webflow developers. We need like really strong people. Why am I saying this? In the agency, Webflow, it lets people who don't have a technical development background build an agency where they can bring in other skills. So maybe you were like a media buyer and you learned Webflow, and now you're bringing that in. Or maybe you're like a great communicator and you're able to build this agency around that. For me, I was a marketer. So I'm able to build this Webflow agency without being a professional designer, professional developer, and serve that. So I'm having to learn a lot on the job. And there's pros and cons to that. So right now we're focused heads down on just building incredible processes and systems. We have 2 clients that like are really high growth startups. One's even a unicorn. We got a unicorn client, which is kind of crazy.
Congratulations.
And it's just we're doing better and better each month, and like they're happy with our work. But we need to be in a place where our service that we're offering them is so strong, it's so organized and efficient, where it's just like if there's budget cuts or things get rough, it's like we can't cut Candid Leap. We have to we have to find a way to make this work, and we can be flexible if things get hard too. But we're trying just to build that system where we're such a reliable partner, and the quality is so high that we just are dependable there. And that's incredible. I thought it was going to be much easier to do this, and we're doing great and we're getting better. But I think building that well-oiled machine is like all of our extra resources, all of our time. We're just heads down on building that. Because I never worked in an agency. I managed agencies before, so I'm getting to work with people in GrowthMentor and other people in the network to like learn. Okay, how can we do this? And sure, you can buy a course and this and that, but there's nothing different than making mistakes, hitting your head against the wall, trying something, and having the team own building something, getting that buy-in and launching it. It's exhilarating and also like tear producing as well.
Absolutely, man. Like I'm really, really happy for you, man. And I'm trying to figure out what kind of questions I should use to close the conversations, right? I mean, like in every podcast, you have some sort of a. Let me ask you the last question. So I'm going to try this one because you mentioned the fail, right? Like, is there any big mistake or any big fail that you like still keeps you awake at night before falling asleep, or something that people can learn from, hopefully?
I work really hard, Marcos, to not disappoint my clients. I have sometimes though. I think the first thing is when you're starting a business and you don't have that much money and you're getting going, like you don't get to afford the best talent, and you have to start off with a certain thing. And I mean, there's one thing in particular where we just like, for one, and it wasn't even the thing. These failures aren't even that big. Like things could have been so much worse. I think it's just the lesson I guess I learned from there in hindsight, even though I grieve about having the best client experience, is just accepting that when you're starting a service business that you're going to have to make some mistakes, and unless you have a lot of money saved up, you're going to have to work with people who like aren't perfect, and you should really accept that and accommodate that in your process and system, so that if there is a mistake or something isn't done to your standard, that you can make sure that it's right. Every 6 months, I've kind of upgraded the team and hired much more talented, expensive people. And so I would think just that kind of approach is something for bootstrap service businesses. In my view, that's just kind of the path. And just, I wish I earlier on accepted and gave myself some space for that. Because it was very stressful and sad for me sometimes to disappoint a client. But it's happening way less and less. Sometimes clients have unreasonable expectations, and I need to also just take a deep breath and not beat up on myself.
But I mean, that's cool. You're literally learning out of all of that, right? I mean, you definitely don't have to put the extra pressure. Just to drop a little friendly advice in there. Just take it easy. You're doing great. And also, just to finish it with a higher note, what's the biggest or best move that you've done in the business? Like the best decision that you've done lately that you say, wow.
The best move?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. What's the best move? Oh, gosh.
Something that made you proud lately. You said, like, yeah, I made that call.
Super proud. I think it's just building the team of people and then like putting them in a place where you're not rude about them proving themselves, but giving them clear standards and expectations, letting them rise to those expectations, and then putting them and just saying, hey, this is something you're leading, go for it. And it starts with attracting the right person. But for this new person, David, that we're about to hire, Sabrina, one of our developer leaders, she just like put together a test project, scoped it, put together clear directions, like everything. I couldn't have even done it better. Just setting this guy up for success to kind of enter the company and prove himself. And she just like, it's just so beautiful. And I'm just so proud of her. Sabrina, really, really happy like of what you're doing in the company. And just, I'm going to be offline for 4 business days on a meditation retreat next week. Never done that before. Like, even if the unicorn website's down, I ain't going to be available. And I just like building to a place where I'm like, all right, team, like, let's serve each other. Let's serve our clients. Let's do it well. Just seeing little things like that pop up more and more is just like,
man, that's a huge step.
Exciting.
That's a huge step for a founder, being able to, all right, I'm just going to go back to my cabin. The ship should be getting to port very soon. You take care of it. No, I'm really happy and impressed with the journey that, for me, started with that conversation with you about the deli, and now is moving to this amazing behemoth that you're building.
It's really nice, and yeah, it's been so great being in touch with you over the last year. Oh my gosh, it's been a while.
It's been a while, man.
And
yeah, absolutely.
You're born to like lead these conversations, by the way. And you have a very nice microphone too. And it's just,
I know. I'm gonna try to get these people to sponsor me because it's a good one. But, yeah.
Thank you for sharing your time and just guiding this conversation and making me feel so comfortable and safe.
Man, you're rocking the world, man. So thank you.
And shout out to GrowthMentor peeps, all the friends there. Everyone's
they'll definitely be watching this. They better be watching.
Y'all are great. Much love.
Brother, big hug. Thank you for coming. Enjoy Medellin. Say hello. Drink good coffee. Drink good. I forgot kombucha. The name of that. Well, keep drinking kombucha. And there's a very good drink in there that I forgot. It's like anise flavor. But they'll let you know. Just ask them for that anise flavor drink, and they'll tell you. Okay, brother. Thank you.
All right.
All the best in your retreat, and good luck, man. So as you can see, that was a very fun conversation. It was almost like catching up with an old friend. There are a few things that they stayed in my mind, and they're probably like the biggest nuggets that I took from this combo this time. But I'm going to do it with the regular swoop. So let's go for the swoop. So one of the things that it really stayed with me is the passion that Hal has behind his business. So if I have to take that nugget out of that little bit, it will be make sure you love what you're doing, because it's going to make a huge difference in the way you deliver your final product. When you have passion behind, things are completely magical. I really like the way that Hal did over 100 calls with GrowthMentor. That means he wasn't ever scared of asking for help. He was ready to jump and say, I don't know this, and know where to find the answer and where to find help. So if there's something you need to remember, just please don't ever be scared to say, I need help. I really like the way Hal is also building an agency from scratch. That's just something that you should really listen to and think and listen to the way he's putting together the team, how much he focused not only on the team, but in 4 different pillars that's sustaining the whole business. And something that I also enjoy is when he focuses on welcome the customer in a way that he's ready to help and makes them feel that he is ready to help them at any time. And this is something that it came out of his GrowthMentor experience. How much you are willing to give in order to take a little back. So those are the 4 things that probably really stayed in my mind. I'm going to let you go back and try to find them and listen to them yourself so you can get something out of it. So wait, let me finish this swoop quickly. So yeah, so those were the things that really stay with me. I really want to invite you to go and revisit them. I also want to invite you to follow our podcast and social media channels so you are always aware of all the things happening around Growth Mentor. I want to invite you to listen to our next episode coming very soon. And I want to thank you for all the support. You made our podcast one of the most watched videos in Growth Mentor channel. So thanks. And I hope to see you next time. My name is Marcus. This is Passing the Torch. Thank you for coming. Cheers.